Wow! Ten things you need to know playing in the endgame. I am Moorhuhn and let's dive right into the first point, regex strings. Regex strings are a very important thing in Path of Exile, which can be substituted by using a website that generates them for you, but still is very helpful to know basic regex. And although I could explain this here, Faram did a very good video on regex, so I would just recommend to take a look at that.
And we'll do D, base, Rary. Now we've got a lot more results back.
Second one is a very quick one, and even though it has been fixed currently, this is an issue that will come up a lot and many more times. It is sorting by specific currencies, because this sometimes happens due to values being strange, like divine to X ratio showing only showing divine traits way before they should appear in the search, like showing up after like 5 exalts there's divine traits for some reason, and then after the divine traits there's 20 exalt items. However, there has been metas, and they will appear in PoE2 at some point, where for example everything was listed in very strange currencies, like they are not available here, but sometimes everything would be in Val Orbs for some reason. And sometimes you just don't want to see them, so use the buyout price to just filter through the right currency type. The third one is a little bit more complex and takes a lot of experience to get really used to. What you want to do is to know how much value you get from having a specific mod on a specific item. Life on a helmet, for example, rolls a lot higher than life on gloves. Amulets can roll critical strike multiplier that rings cannot. Strength rolls on most strength pieces or all strength pieces, so you can get them there, so you want to pick the right piece for the right stats. A website that can help with this a lot is Craft of Exile, which I am using mostly to see what rolls where. Fourth one is about tablets. Tablets affect all maps and radius with general modifiers. So for example, around a citadel, you can throw a lot of tablets with increased waystone found in area to increase the chance of getting more fragments. They do not only apply to those maps and that are affected by the special encounter found in those maps, just everything in radius. If you don't need +1 to your skill or a higher quality or something, you can get a 5 or a 6 link for quite a bit cheaper by using Val Orbs. A Val Orb has about a 1 in 8 chance to increase the socket amount on the gem by 1, so use this to your advantage. Damage axes are a very important thing to understand in Path of Exile. What damage axes mean is multiplying a damage stat or defense stat or whatever stat you want to multiply by different multipliers. This means multipliers that build upon each other, like increased damage combined with more damage, combined with attack speed, combined with critical strike chance and multiplier. These axes work together with each other to create a big bonus, compared to like just having increased damage in a very high value. Multiple smaller multipliers that work with each other quickly surpass the one big multiplier. So learning damage axes and what damage axes are available to your skill quickly can show you the potential of a skill and how to get more damage out of it. In the same vein, diminishing returns apply to the game. It's very important to understand how diminishing returns work and which kind of diminishing returns apply, because there's natural diminishing returns that apply to just everything just because of math, and then there's like synthetic diminishing returns that only apply because GGG says so. So let's take a look at the first example. When we are increasing damage by 100%, 200, 300, 400%, we're gaining higher amount of damage. But when we take a look at, for example, 20% increased damage, while we have 200% increased damage, 20% is a 10% damage multiplier compared to what we have already. If we are at 500% increased damage already, a 20% damage increase is only a 4% damage multiplier because it already applies to such a big stack of additive damage multiplication. This is very important to understand to where to stop scaling specific stats and focus on others, like going from increased damage to attack speed to critical strike chance to critical strike multiplier. All of these have diminishing returns at some point where you need to check, okay, what is the most efficient stat I can scale right now? Flat damage applies to this, of course, also. Synthetic diminishing returns are different and, to my knowledge, only apply to Magic Fight in Path of Exile, but there might be other cases. For this, it's very difficult to know where the diminishing returns is because the curve just works different. For example, 50, 100 and 150 Magic Find all are pretty good values. At 200 we see quite a decrease in value, and 500 barely has any difference to 200. So this is very difficult to just see just from the numbers, so these need way more testing compared to natural diminishing returns. Soulcores are a funny bunch, because they do apply weirdly in some points that we are not used to from Path of Exile 1. Especially with the weapon Soulcores, these apply heavily due to them working as local mods. The same applies to the iron runes, which increase the armor, evasion or energy shield on the piece of gear you're putting them on. The resistance runes, for example, are global additive mods that increase the values of your character. When we now take a look at the Pillar of the Caged God, for example, and Flicker Strike, we see we have 584 critical strike multiplier. When I now put on a 36 critical damage bonus staff instead of the 24% critical bonus staff, this multiplier jumps up to 641. This is due to the critical strike multiplier from the Soulcores working multiplicatively with your total increased damage bonus from critical strikes due to the critical damage bonus of the Soulcore being a local mod to the weapon. There's some more instances of these in Soulcores which are very strange, or not strange but very unusual to how we think of a lot of mods, but yeah, you have to keep an eye out on those. These can affect your build greatly. Waystone affixes are fairly important, and one thing you need to know is that Waystone affixes work different from PoE1 to PoE2, because the prefixes of a Waystone increase the rewards you're getting from the Waystone, and the suffixes increase the difficulty of the Waystone while increasing the Waystone drop chance of the Waystone. Also, corrupting a Waystone can, well, make all the mods on the Waystone either prefix or suffix, which means you can roll maps that are very easy but extremely rewarding for content like Breach or Delirium, or you can roll maps that are not very rewarding but have a very high Waystone drop chance to increase the Citadel drop rates, for example, as shown in the clip in the background, where I am having over 1000 Waystone drop rate on the map. Dash tab affinities are something that should be set up whenever you are going to late game farming, because when you are running your dump tab, you don't really want your divines to land in there. You want them to land in the currency stash tab, which you do by putting an affinity on these. Affinities do work on all kinds of maps, not just premium or special tabs. You can assign any of the available affinities to any stash tab to do quick sorting of whatever you're liking. This is a very powerful tool to, well, sort very quickly and can be ignored by pressing STL plus Shift, which makes the item to go into the stash you're looking at right now. Well, if it's working. One quick bonus tip is the Resurgence Omen. The Omen of Resurgence fully recovers your life, mana and energy shield when you reach low life, though this does not work with CI, so I'm sorry. But these are fairly cheap in general and are very much worth your time when you just are farming highly juiced content and you don't really want to lose that map, because every death can cost you like multiple divines even on very juiced maps. These omens work once per map, so you cannot have multiple procs inside of one map, but you can activate multiple so that you don't really have to keep track of them and just refill them whenever they are empty. These are all the tips for today, so if you have any more that you think are very important, drop them down in the comment section. If this was helpful, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm Moorhuhn, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.